system for publishing announcements out to the public and is used by potential applicants to view open opportunities and submit applications. So the merit review process also takes place within the eXCHANGE system, so it's kind of an end-to-end tool for the whole application review and selection process. Okay. So on February 17th, we released changes to the system that will allow lab applicants to search for open lab call opportunities and submit to those opportunities using lab call specific submission forms with data fields customized for the lab call process. The goal of this release is to eliminate any duplicate data entries that you guys, the lab applicants, would have to perform when your selected submissions are transferred from eXCHANGE into other DOE systems, specifically the AOP SharePoint tool. So with this release, information is going to flow directly from eXCHANGE into the AOP tool so that you're not having to go back in and enter the same information twice. So as we move through the presentation, I'll point out the integration points so you can see which information will transfer over. But most, if not all, the information that's in here will transfer over, so you're not having to do duplicate data entry once you're selected. I just wanted to also point out, if you have any questions during this training, you can use the chat function in the WebEx meeting, and we'll either try to answer them as we go along, or I'll address them all at the end so everyone can hear the questions and know the answers. So today we're going to walk through the whole process for the concept paper and the full application submission, as well as viewing your decisions and, if applicable, reviewer comments. So it's a pretty similar process if you've ever submitted to a FOA in the past. However, we're going to start from the very beginning today with registration, since it's a little different from the FOA process in that respect. So I'm going to, at this point, go over and share my screen so that we can look at the eXCHANGE system. So I think everyone can see now the eXCHANGE system. This is our test site, so it's a little jumbled with lots of information, but it's very similar to production. I just want to start at this point also to make sure everyone can hear. A couple people can just reply to the chat, just to make sure everyone can hear and see the screen before we move on. Just waiting for a reply from someone to see if people can hear. Okay, great, good. So just wanted to make sure before we get too much further into the presentation. So anyway, this is the home page for eXCHANGE. So if you've used it before, you can just go ahead and log in with your existing account and start applying. But I do want to point out the registration process here. And so if you're new, you'll come to the page, click register. It'll ask you what type of user you'd like to register as. In this case, we will all be applicants. And this is the part that's pretty important for lab call applicants to make note of. So you just fill out your general information about yourself. That's pretty straightforward. But down here in the account section, it asks for your email, which will also be your username. So this is really important for lab applicants because unlike FOAs, lab calls are or can be restricted eligibility. So meaning only certain users from organizations can apply. So lab teams have the ability in eXCHANGE to restrict eligibility based on lab organizations. So it could be open to all labs or just a couple. But the way that eXCHANGE figures out who can apply and who can even see the announcements in the system is based on your account and your username. So it's really important here that you register with your email address from your lab. So just as an example, I'm not from a lab, but in case my username was Erin at NREL, I have to enter that here. So this is your personal email account from your lab organization. So make sure when you do register and when you are trying to apply in the system, you're using your lab email, because that's how that's how the system knows what organization you're from and how to show you what opportunities are available for you to apply to. So otherwise, the registration process is really straightforward, and once you register, you can log in immediately and start viewing applications. So at this point, we'll move on there and we'll get logged into the system. As you can see, I have my test email account from my lab. I'm at Nettle today, so I'm going to go ahead and log into the system. And as we're logging in, I'll also point out there's always this manual link on the sidebar here in the left navigation. There's a user guide that is specific to the lab call process there. So if you ever have any questions, you can go there and take a look at that. And also in the manual, there's information about how to contact the eXCHANGE help desk. If you have any questions about the technical use of the system, you can go there. Also in the left navigation are links to the My Submissions page where if you've started any submissions, you can always go back and find them there. Or if as you move on in the process, you want to see your submission, see where it's at. I'll click on that now to show you guys. As you can see, I've created a lot of submissions to this one announcement. We'll be seeing some of those today, but you can see here like the submission status. You can view details about your submission. If it's available, you can edit it and do all that. So that is available here, but we'll go back to the main funding opportunity site to talk about how to apply and search for different opportunities that are available. So up at the top here, we see a table with all the open funding opportunity announcements. You can search by announcement type, so there's all different things here in the drop down. You can search by the program or view the deadlines. I happen to know which announcement we want to apply to, so I'm going to go ahead and filter that down here so we can find it. Okay, so I'm going to click the link here. It'll bring me down to my announcement. So here's where you can read details about this. This one has a very short description, but generally there'll be more information here about just what this announcement is about, any documents that the team has uploaded for you to read, the announcement document with all the details on how the announcement is structured, how it works, what's required of you. That will be here. In the application document section, there might be templates for each stage of the submission process, any contact information the team has provided, as well as the submission deadline. So this is pretty important in the eXCHANGE system. If you've ever applied to a FOA, you know this, but eXCHANGE enforces hard submission deadlines. So as you can see here for this particular announcement, we have a concept paper and a full application. So what this means is that the concept paper is kind of a gateway to the full application process. So if you miss that concept paper deadline, you're not going to be able to go in and submit a full application. So it's pretty important that you notice these, and they are enforced by the system. So after March 3rd at 5 p.m. Eastern, this apply button is going to go away. And even if you've already created a submission and you're in there working on it at 5 o'clock on that day, the submit button, you won't be able to go in and submit your application any longer. So make sure that you're aware of the deadline and you leave plenty of time for yourself to go in and input all the information that's required for you to submit, because one thing that is different from FOAs to lab call submissions is that lab calls require a bit more input from applicants. So it's not something you can leave 5 minutes until the deadline. It's pretty important that you go in and make sure you leave yourself enough time to enter everything. So, so at this point, we'll go ahead and start applying to a concept paper. So once you've read through and decide you want to apply, you can click the apply button, which will bring up our first short form to enter some general information before creating the rest of the tabs for your submission. So it's pretty similar to the follow page, a few new different fields here, but so new for the lab call stuff is that since it is restricted eligibility, the organization that you're applying as is ported in from your account. So like I said, it's important to make sure that you use your lab organization's email address so that it's pulling the correct organization that you're applying as. So as you can see, all the fields with a red asterisk are required to submit the form and your overall submission. So we'll go ahead and enter some information for our project title. And then next is our overall project start and end date. So this will be for the whole of the project that you're proposing. These dates do drive fields on further tabs, so you can make sure you enter those correctly. But if you need to update them at any later time before you submit, you can absolutely come back and do that, but just be aware that it might create some additional fields on other tabs that you'll have to come back and update. The next section, partner laboratories. Throughout the system, we have these little green eye information icons that kind of provide further description of what maybe the field or the section is about. So I'm not going to go through all of those here in this presentation because they are available there for you to read, but I do want to point out that the partner labs are only labs that are going to be funded directly through DOE. So if you do have any subcontractor labs that are going to be paid directly by the lead, those are entered at a later time. This is really teams that you're going to be partnering with to do the work on the project. So we'll go ahead and add one of those just so you can see, because like the project dates, this also drives some additional fields on different on other tabs. So we'll go ahead and say that we're going to partner with NREL on this project, and you're also asked to enter a point of contact for the person at your partner lab. So I'm just going to put in here, and we'll click save. You can add as many partners as you have. If you need to edit them or delete them, you can do that here. Next section is this a continuation of an existing project? So if it's no, you just enter that and move on. But if it's yes, we're going to ask for a few more fields, including the WBS number of the existing project. Just put something in here for that. And then the ending fiscal year of the existing project. So let's say it was 2016. And then the next two fields here are for project overview and project objectives. And these are HTML enabled fields, so you can go in and add some formatting if you need to, special characters, bullets, numbers, that kind of thing. Just gonna put some stuff here to those are required. And then once you're done with that, you can go ahead and create your concept paper, which at this point, it lets you know your information has been saved. You have a record in the system. So I mean, you'll be able to find that now in My Submission. And it's also letting us know our control number. So this is your unique identifier for your concept paper for your whole submission within Exchange. And so if you have any questions, they need to call the help desk about something, this is the number you're going to want to give them. That helps them find your unique submission in the system. So we'll go ahead and continue on with our concept paper. I'm going to click this button, which brings us to our submission form. So as you can see, we have our general tab that we already filled out, that we know about. So those are our fields we just entered. If you need to update any of those, you certainly can. But we can also see that it's populated a few more tabs with some more fields and information that we're going to have to enter. So if we have any updates since we created our submission, we can go in and enter those. And at the bottom, we have a Save and Continue button, which will bring us to our next tab, which is Contact Information. And on this tab, you just have to enter contact info for the lab employee who's going to oversee your project, and you'd be able to answer any questions about the project. So just basic contact info. Just going to enter some stuff here so that we can move on. But there's a note about it down here, but if at some point you're working on your submission and you realize you'd like some of your team members to be able to help out, There's a link here back to the submission details page where you can share your submission. I'm going to go through that later, but just want to let you know that there is a lot of information to enter here. So if you're going to be working on this with multiple people on your team, you can share access with their Exchange account so that they can log in and see all the same screens that you can. Again, I'll go through how to do that later, but I just wanted to let you know that that's a feature that we have here. So enter this information. We'll save and move on to the next tab, which are the financials for the project. So any planned costs that you have by fiscal year, by lab. So any lead and partners that you've entered. So like we entered NREL as our lab partner back on our general tab. If you had entered 5 different labs, you'd see 5 different sections here to enter your project financials information. So as you can see, the planned project costs for each lab is only required for the first fiscal year of the project, but certainly if you have any more of that information, you're encouraged to enter it. So just for an example, we'll say that they're going to spend $1 million in the first year, let's say $500,000 in the next year, and so on. We'll just enter some information for that. So we'll say that the partner is going to spend $250,000, and maybe we don't know for the next year. So as you can see, there's subtotals provided for each lab and also for the overall project down here at the bottom. I think that's pretty straightforward, but you can, again, all these tabs, if you have changed any information, it's important to click save down at the bottom, but if you click save and say, oh, I need to go back and change that, you can click between these tabs across the top and come back at any time. But if you have changed anything, you gotta click save at the bottom. But so yep, that's the financials tab. We'll move on to performers. So this is what I briefly mentioned earlier. If there are any subcontractors that you're going to be working with or that your partners are going to be working with, this is where you'll enter information about those groups. So let's say, for example, that we know that our lead lab is going to be working with a subcontractor. So you click add subcontractor. So a pop-up form comes up where you'll say the name of the organization, what type of business they are, if they're a university or a business, that kind of thing. So, and then next you'll have to enter the start and end date that this subcontractor is going to be working on the project. Of course, this has to be within the overall project dates, but I can go ahead and enter those here. Oh. Yeah. See, it imports those, stupid things like my end date was after my start date, so go ahead and enter that. And just like the overall project financials, you have to enter the subcontractor's planned costs by fiscal year. So again, only required in the first year, but if you do know more cost information across all the other years, you're encouraged to enter it. So we'll just say, for example, they're spending $5,000 in the first year and the others we don't know. So we'll click save, and then it becomes added to our table here. So you can add as many as you like for each lead lab, and then again for every partner lab that you've entered. If you need to edit it, you can go in and edit or review, or even delete if you need to go in and change those at a later date. Just like the other financials tables, it's going to total up all your total funding for each subcontractor, for each lead and partner lab, as well as a grand total of all the subcontractor work that's going to be performed on the project down here at the bottom. So once you finish entering all your subcontractors, you can save and continue and move on to the modalities and TRL tab. So eERE classifies its activities into 9 different modalities or types of work. So as you can see, you can distribute the percentages across all these different 9 modalities, but your total has to add up to 100%. So what this section does, this is only required for the lead lab. As you can see, only our lead lab, our partner labs don't have to fill this out for the partner labs, but you'll enter the percentage of your work that you're going to be doing in the first fiscal year of the project and spreading it across the different modalities. So what this is going to do is it's going to take our FY15 project plan costs from the financials tab. It's going to multiply it by the weight that we enter, and it's going to give us our plan cost per modality. So, for example, we'll just say that it's going to be 50-50 split across modality 1 and 2. And then as you can see, we have put in $1 million for our FY17 plan costs. So that's where that number is coming from. If that's not looking right to you and the number isn't working out, the plan cost values are on the financial tab, and you're just distributing the weights across the modalities on this tab. The next section in this tab is the technology readiness level, which is a widely used indicator of development of a technology toward deployment on a scale of 1 to 9, with 9 being fully deployment ready. So to be more consistent in the way that eErie is tracking the advancement of technology, lab applicants are going to be required to provide the current TRL of the proposed project, that's the first one here, and also the estimated TRL that the project is going to reach at the end of the project. So you'll enter that here. The system does do a validation to ensure that your TRL matches up with the modalities that you've entered. So if I try to save right now with my TRL as 1 and 2, because I have it actually set up correctly. So if I said that all of my modality weight was down here at modality 9, that's not going to match up with the TRLs that I've entered. So just be aware that those things do kind of match up. As you can see, we've got the TRL levels synced with the modalities, and you can hover over any of these to read more. If you're not sure what these mean, there's a lot of information in the hover. So go ahead and do that. But once you've completed, once your total is 100% and you've entered your current and estimated TRL, you can go ahead and save to move on to the project impact tab. This is a lot of text entry fields. As you can see, there's more info icons that explain these further, but you'll have to enter a description of your deliverable product or output, as well as a description of the audience or customer, their use of the deliverable, and also information about any communication or outreach strategy. All straightforward, just short text fields. Next, you'll be asked if the project involves any significant industry engagement. So if no, you can just move on, but if yes, there's another field where you'll have to enter a description of that engagement. So we'll enter something here. And also, the system also wants to know if you have any associated creatives, and if you do, you'll have to enter those here. Lots more info icons to see exactly what it's looking for. We're looking for the number here, so we'll add one so you can see what that looks like. You can edit or delete or add as many as you happen to have. So once that's completed, you can save and move on to the last step of the concept paper submission process, which is the upload and submit tab. So if any files or file attachments are required as part of the concept paper process, you'll see those listed here. So this announcement happens to only have one file. So this is a concept paper. You can see what file types are allowed. If there's any description or restrictions on that file, you can see that here. So when you're ready to add your file, pretty straightforward, add new file. You just go in and select your document and click upload. At which point you can see the system automatically renames the file. So for record keeping purposes, it's been tagged with your control number, like we discussed when we first created our submission, as well as our organization name. And that's just to help the Lab Call team and the eErie team keep those organized. So, yep. So this is kind of your last step before submission. So once you're ready, you can go back and check all these tabs and your information. But once you're ready to submit, you just come in here. As you'll see, it's a submit button now. You can click to agree to the terms and conditions and authorizing that you're authorized to submit. And once you're ready, you can click submit. If you do have any validations that have been running, they'll come up here in red text to let you know that there's something you need to resolve before you can submit. I'll show when we go through the full application what that looks like. But if there's something you're missing, it'll tell you before you go and try to click submit. So, but yeah, so we've checked everything. It looks good, and we're ready to submit. So we'll go ahead and click the submit button. And if everything goes well and it works, you will see the concept paper submission details page. This is your confirmation that you have submitted. You'll also get a confirmation email from the system, but if you're on this page and your submission status is submitted, that means you're good to go, and in area you've received your information there. So if you want to, you can click around and see what information you've submitted. Kind of a similar layout to the submission forms here. You can click through and see everything. And then this page, it's a submission details page. It's the same page as you get when you go to My Submissions and click the View link. So here we are, 1507. That's what we just submitted. So if you click View, it'll bring you back to this details page. You can get back to this at any time. This is also where you'll come in when the concept paper responses are ready. As you can see, it's not yet available, but this is where you can always see information about your submission. And as I mentioned previously when we were in our submission, this is also where you can share your submission with other users. So that's down here at the bottom. Right now, as you can see, it's not been shared. It's just my account is the submission owner. So say I'm thinking, oh, I want to share this and work on this with my coworker who's on my team. So I'm going to go and click share submission. Gives you a little information about that. But the person you want to share with has to have an existing Exchange account. And in the case of lab calls where there's eligibility restrictions based on the organization, the person also has to have, their account has to be an email address that's eligible for submission to the announcement. So say, for example, that this announcement that we're working on is only eligible for NETL and NREL. If I try to enter an email for a lab user not at that organization, it's going to tell me that no, that you can't share it with that person because they're not eligible. But if you're trying to share it with a coworker from the organization, I think this one should work. I think they're eligible for this, but we'll go ahead and enter their email, and then you click submit. It's going to let you know, yes, this person is an existing Exchange user. Share the submission and click confirm. And once we do that, you can see they've been added to be able to edit the submission. If you need to remove them at any time, this is also where you come to do that, but you can always update that at any point. So as you can see, we've got this user here, and if you need to remove the shares, you also go back into that screen. So at this point, it's kind of, go back to my submissions for a second, just want to show you something. So at any point up until the deadline, you'll see that the status may be submitted edits allowed. That's because we're still before our submission deadline. So after the submission deadline passes, that status will just be submitted, and you won't be able to click this edit link here. So that's why we're seeing that. But just keep in mind, if you do try to edit before the submission deadline and you're already submitted, it's going to give you this warning just to let you know that if you do unsubmit your application, you'll have to go back in and submit it, click the submit button and the certification buttons again. So just keep that in mind as you're going through. So as you can see, we're submitted, and now you just wait for your paper to be reviewed, and I guess the next step in the process is that the announcement team will notify you that the decisions have been released and that you can go into the system and check. So check to see if you've been encouraged or discouraged, everything like that. So I have another paper set up that's been reviewed, so we'll go through the process of viewing your decision and then creating the full application from your concept paper submission. So we'll pretend that we fast forwarded in time here and that we just got an email that announced that our decisions are available. So we will go in and click My Submission to find our submission, and this is the one that we're waiting for the decision on, and we'll see, all right, 1506 review complete. We'll click View to take a look at our decision. And here we'll see in the concept paper response section that there's now some information here. We've been encouraged, so after the review of our concept paper, we've been encouraged to submit a full app. So the way that you do that is this big button right here. So you're going to create a full application from this concept paper. So to get into the forms for a full application, we'll just click here to create. And very similarly to the concept paper, we have this tab format of submission form. So very similar. It pulls over our information that we submitted at the concept paper stage. So all that information is here. You don't have to enter that again, but if you do have any updates, say your project overview has changed, you can enter that. You can change all that as you move on. But as you can also see, we've added a few more tabs up here at the top. So there's a little bit more information that's required at the full application stage. And just like the concept paper, we can click Save and continue to move through the tabs, or if we know that nothing has changed, we can go right to the tabs that we're interested in. But I just want to show you here what the system looks like if you, for some reason, have not completed all the fields. I didn't show that at concept paper, so I want to highlight that here. So as you can see, this is the required field. So if I try to save without it, I'm going to get this error up at the top. You can leave the pages without resolving those errors, but when you try to submit, it's going to come up with that again. So we'll just keep that in mind. But and so financials has stayed the same. Say though now that we're a little further along in the process, we might know more information about our costs or things may have changed. So you can go ahead and add that here, do all that stuff. So everything you can update and move on. So we'll click Save to move on. Again, performers is still the same. If you have any additional information, definitely add that. But otherwise, the next tab is now Project Plan. That's a new tab from concept paper to full application. So this is where you're going to be entering all of your tasks and milestones that are associated with the entire scope of the project. So this is kind of a lot of information to enter, but if you are selected, this all gets moved over into the AOP tool. So it's important that you enter it here. If you are selected, it gets moved over, and there's no duplicate entry, and then you're ready to go right from the beginning. So I believe how it works is there's at least one milestone is required for you to move on, but just like everything else, if you have the information, you're really encouraged to add it. So we'll go in and add a project task. Another short pop-up form here where you can enter the task title. Go ahead and just put something in here, an item number. So this is in the format of T dot number. You can enter whichever number you like here, but this is how you can order the tasks in the table once they come up. So you can enter whatever you like there, add a description if you have one, and then the start and end date for the task. Again, it has to be within the overall project date, but that should be pretty straightforward. We'll say this one's about a year. And then we'll also have to select which team members are going to be working on this task. Once we click those, it's gonna populate a few more fields that you'll see. So if you select both team members, two little tables are going to come up looking for the planned costs by fiscal year, by lab for each of these tasks that you enter. So just like everything else, only the first fiscal year cost information is required, but if you have it, please enter it. So we'll go ahead and just enter some cost information for this task here, and once you're ready, you can click Save, and it's going to populate into the table, or at any point you can view, edit, or delete it. So, of course, you can enter as many tasks as you have, and they do sort by that item number, so if you need to reorder them, you can use the item number to make sure that they're sorting in the order that you like. And very similarly with milestones, just have a couple more fields, slightly different information. So you have to select an item type from the drop-down here. So that we're going to do a quarterly progress measure, a title for the milestone, a description if you have one. Item number works in the same way as task. It's just M dot task number, so enter that here. A date for the milestone, any criteria information you have to enter, and just again, which team members are participating or are responsible for the milestone. So click Save, we'll add that. And again, you can add as many tasks or milestones as you have. And once you've completed that, you can click Save and continue to move on to the next new tab, which is risks. Adding the risks is optional. If you do add them, there's a few fields that are required. But again, if you know this information, as much of the information as you can provide is best. But once you click Add Risk, you'll see another pop-up form. Enter the name, the target completion date, any description that you have of this further than the title, information about the severity, the probability of the risk, what type of response you can propose, the source of the risk, and if you have any information about a response plan, you can describe that here, as well as selecting classification for the risk and any partners in that risk. Once you're ready, you can click Save, add as many as you have. Always view, edit, and delete those, and click Save and continue to move on. Modalities in TRL is exactly the same as at the concept paper stage. You may have updates to make there. To do the same way as we did previously, you can click and move on with those. To the Project Impacts tab, which again is the same as that concept paper. All the information is pulled over, so you'll see that here. And then once you're ready and you're finalized all the information on the other fields, you can go to Upload and Submit. Same as the concept paper, different files are going to be required, obviously, at this stage of the application, as many as the EERE team has required. In this case, they're requiring a technical volume and maybe an appendix file, descriptions of which are available, and then you can also see what file types are allowed. So for this one, there's a few more. Again, once you're ready, you can go in and upload those. All right. And just like the last time, it renames the files based on the naming convention that the team set up. So control number, this one has the org, and then just the description of the file. So once you have taken a look and make sure everything is correct and you're ready to submit your full app, you, same thing, certify that you're authorized to submit and click the Submit button. And just like at the concept paper stage, it will bring you to now the full application submission details page, which you can, same thing, review your submission, share it if you like. Just be aware, if you share your submission at the concept paper stage, if you shared with another user at the concept paper stage, that user will also be able to see and share the full application as well. This specific example I hadn't shared with anyone, so you don't see that here, but if you shared it at concept paper, that person will also be able to work on the full app. So keep that in mind. And just to show you, once you submit, you log out and you're done with it, you're waiting for waiting to hear back. So some announcements will decide to release the reviewer comments back to the applicant so you can see your feedback, and they also have the option of requesting a rebuttal document from applicants. So they'll let you read your reviewer comments and provide a response. So that's unique to the full application stage. So I don't know if any of these have review comments available, but I can still show you, like the one we were just on. If I click view, you'll see there's a section up here called reviewer comments. So this one doesn't have any right here, but this is where you'll come to find the information once it does. So it says this this announcement is configured to display the comments and receive replies to reviewer comments from this date to this date. Comments are not currently available, but when they are, you can come back here and find them, read them, and upload a response if you would like to. And again, this is also where you come in to view your decision once they have selection decisions available. But it's the same process as concept debrief. Go to My Submissions, click View, and then you can see that information here. I think that's basically everything for the whole submission process for you guys. If you have any questions throughout the process, the manual, like I mentioned before, we can go here and take a look at what that page looks like. This is text, so there's a bunch of junk uploaded here, but when you log in and see the system, there'll be a Lab Call Applicant Guide there, and that goes through all of this, how to apply, how to find your decision, how to reply to reviewer comments, all that. So if you have any questions, you can go there, or always email the eXCHANGE help desk. They can help you out if you're having issues or any general technical questions about using eXCHANGE. So I don't think I saw any questions come through on the chat. I just wanted to see if anyone happens to have any at this time. Okay, so we have a question about the modalities tab. I'm just going to go back there to see what we were looking at. Okay, so now we're on the modalities tab. Says that I don't see the red asterisk on modality. Is it required? Yes, it is. It's required that your total be 100%. So you can't see it here, but if I make this not 100%, it's going to be red. So anything in red is something that you'll have to resolve before you can move on. So it's not required that you enter something in every field, but just that your total is 100%. Okay. Next question was, are we able to cut and paste from another document? Yes, everything in eXCHANGE you can cut and paste into the field. So a good example is part of impact. You can always just, Control V or right click and paste into that field. Next question was, will the percentage of total project calculations be added to the financials? That some application criteria are based off of percentage of the project per performer, including subs, so it may be helpful to include this. I'm not sure about that. I need to take a look into it. The financials tab is, I don't know if this is going to be answering the question, but the financials tab is kind of the overall plan project cost, and then things like the performers and the tasks are the subset of those specifically for those users. So for the performers, and then how much of the money is going to be spent on the project task. We can get back to you with a more detailed answer after the training. Okay, so I think those are the only questions that came in. Again, if you have any more, feel free to ask them now or send them to us later. We can answer questions. But otherwise, I think that concludes our training, and thanks for attending today.